Well, springtime already. And if you don't believe it, just get outside and look at the wildflowers at the moment. It's spectacular. And here I am in the Blue Mountains in the hometown of Hazelbrook. And I've got to say, I've been really, really blessed to have been grounded here through this year. What's been quite an unusual year. And it's hard to believe it was 8 months ago that we were together at Rainbow Beach and kicking off the year with a wellbeing retreat, focusing on ourselves, focusing on the connection of the team, and actually just being in a place that could inspire us and help fill our cups. And I hope some of that stayed with you long after the retreat, and I hope it actually spread to the other team members who weren't able to join us for those 3 days of absolute magic. I hope they've somehow benefited and caught the great vibes that came out of that time we had together. Now, really grateful that out of the retreat, one of the great initiatives that you as a St. Mary's staff group came up with was the idea of having a wellbeing week, which is kicking off. Well, it's kicking off this week, isn't it? And this Friday, Bob and Michelle thought it would be a good opportunity to bring everyone back together, including some of the Gone team, myself, Stuart, who you may remember, Alan as well, and Luke, the bush guide, come back together and this time include all the staff group. And we're going to have a bit of a debrief around the year that's been, but from the lens of well-being, continuing some of those conversations we had in January, but also extending them more broadly, because obviously well-being has been under the lens in a massive way this year, and in ways that we just could not have predicted. I think the whole lockdown, not lockdown, working from home, working from school, open, closed, closed, open, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, and I don't think anyone has been completely unscathed by it. And so, what a timely opportunity it is for us to regroup now, while the year still has plenty of it left in it, and plenty of opportunity for us to step forward and take our well-being in a more positive direction, strengthen it, and then as teachers, as a staff, as a school community, spread that positive impact out, because we do have such a tremendous opportunity to be a positive force for well-being, not only for ourselves but in the community around us, who, as we know, these times have become challenging in many ways for many people. And I know the sun is still shining up there in Queensland, so it's not all doom and gloom, and there's plenty of silver linings, and it is still a beautiful place to be. So let's focus on that. But Friday we're going to have a debrief. There's going to be 3 questions that we're going to work through as a full group. The purpose of this video is to share those questions with you in advance and give you a few days to actually reflect on them. Now, what we'd encourage you to do is actually pull out your Gone Bush journals again that you may still have from the retreat in January. And if you didn't get one of those, Michelle has a whole box of them. So she'll make sure that everyone does get a Gone Bush journal or some kind of journal to reflect on these questions in advance of Friday's debrief. Now, why we're reflecting on them in advance of the session is because we only have about an hour together. So we want everybody's contributions to be really considered. We want to be mindful of the time, but also be able to actually get to a depth in our conversation, a depth in our focus, and in our resolutions for how we're going to live this and take it forward and take it to the next level. So question number 1 that we ask you to reflect upon: 1, what can you celebrate in terms of your well-being this year? Since the retreat in particular, or since the start of the year for anyone who wasn't there, what can you celebrate? Now that could be something physical, social, spiritual, mental, so many aspects of well-being. And also you might want to reflect on this from yourself, from a self point of view, but also as a teaching staff point of view. So start to think about some of your colleagues, some of the things that you've rallied together, some initiatives that you've worked on together. Might even be this wellbeing week that we're in right now. So what can we actually celebrate about our well-being this year? Second question is, what have we learned most about our well-being this year? Now, so often some of our greatest learnings can come through testing times, and I think this year, more than any other, really has given us a chance to learn about well-being in all of its dimensions, and get really hands-on and quite personal in that journey and more aware of it. So let's talk about what we're actually learning about well-being, and let's crack that open. So please, again, reflect on that from a personal point of view, and you may like to share observations or learnings that you've seen at a staff or a school community level as well. The third question, and this one is what I hope can guide us in good stead for seeing out the rest of the year in a really positive way. The third question is, what can we focus on now in terms of our well-being? What can we refocus on now? Now, this might be born out of necessity. There might be things that we just absolutely must refocus on, or this could be a really opportunistic and timely opportunity to get on the front foot in some aspect of well-being. And again, whether that's personal or whether we see opportunities here for this staff group or the school community in terms of well-being, and being broad in terms of what well-being means as well. How can we focus on it? What should we focus on? And also, feel free to reflect on some goals that you might have in regards to that on a personal level, but also maybe some goals that you'd like to propose for the staff group or for the school community. We had some great goals come out of the retreat in January. And so this final part of the debrief, when we look at what we're going to focus on now, is also a good chance for us to actually revisit, well, how can we measure our progress towards these great outcomes that we're going towards and these great resolutions? Well, thank you so much for your time, and we are really looking forward to seeing you on Friday. And as I said, please do try and make some time to go and sit with these questions in advance of the debrief so we can have a really valuable and enriching session. And can't wait to meet the rest of the crew who we haven't already seen, and will be lovely to see you all again. John Kugel from Gone Bush Adventures, and I'll see you on Friday.